Was A Quiet Place inspired by Signs, It Comes at Night, and War for the Planet of the Apes? Was Ready Player One influenced by Avatar, Wreck-It Ralph, and The Last Starfighter? Is The Hurricane Heist more influenced by Sharknado or Geostorm? These are the kinds of questions my guest co-hosts and I discuss on my podcast, Piecing It Together. Every week, we look at a new movie and try to figure out what other movies inspired it. Whether it's the story, the character development, tone, or even use of music. Every movie was influenced by something that came before, and we want to figure out what. Check out Piecing It Together on your favorite podcast app or check us out on piecingpod.com. You can also follow us on social media at piecingpod. Piecing It Together is a part of the All Points West podcast network.
Hey everybody, I'm Jack.
And I'm Cyan.
And we're from a little podcast called Fantasy and Stuff.
Whoa, what's that?
We are a comedy-oriented Dungeons and Dragons podcast where we don't take the rules too seriously because they're boring.
You're really speaking really fast.
I know, I only have 40 seconds for this open spot on the podcast you're actually listening to.
Well, anyways, you can subscribe to us on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher,
or anywhere you can find podcasts, including fantasyandstuff.com.
Our own website.
Wowie zowie! It's like everyone has one of those.
Whoa!
Hope to see you there.
Bye!
Hey everybody, welcome to A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about our little friend, the Hallmark Channel, and her naughty older sister, Lifetime. As you guys know, it's the Christmas season, and so this is our busy season. So we have been doing a ton of podcasts, which you guys will be getting throughout the next week. But as we were recording this podcast, I realized I forgot to do something very important. Yes, I forgot to introduce not only the name of the podcast, but myself and my co-host as well. So, it's me, Les Kirkendall, and my co-hosts, Jason Bowers and Kurt Fitzpatrick. So, listen and enjoy. Okay, this next movie, do you guys want to talk about The Shoe Addict's Christmas?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I, honest to goodness, really liked this movie.
You cut out, hello?
Yeah, you guys were saying you like this one.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Because, okay, I'll be honest with you guys. When it comes to Hallmark movies, I kind of, how do I put it? Hallmark movies are what they are. And so I look at them a little differently, and I'm not as hard on a Hallmark movie as I would be as a movie on, let's say, like Netflix, or, you know, even a movie on other, like HBO or something. I'm a little less hard on Hallmark movies, and I kind of look at it as they are what they are, and, you know, you get what you get. And so, you know, so for me, I kind of watch them just for fun, because I get a kick out of them. But yeah, this movie I legit liked. Like, it holds up.
I'm on the same page as you. Like, I walk into any form of entertainment, movies, TV, whatever, with a set of expectations based on what I think I know about it. And if it meets those or surpasses those, I'll be happy.
Netflix has some bad movies, though. There's something I watched called, like, it's Open House, some horror movie.
Uh-huh.
That was really dumb. Netflix has some stupid stuff. Haters Back Off had, like, 2 seasons. That stupid thing.
Never even heard of that.
They have some stupid crap on Netflix. Because they keep unloading stuff and some of it's good. So you've got your Stranger Things, you've got Ozark, and a couple good shows.
Right.
There's some stuff you haven't even heard of that you don't want to hear of.
They have 2 Christmas Prince movies.
Wow.
What?
Well, because Netflix is now trafficking in the Hallmark movie type of blueprint.
Okay.
And so they do a couple of these
I know
holiday movies aimed at the very same audience. So they do a handful of them each year.
Oh yeah, and didn't Netflix send out a tweet where they, like, insulted the people who keep watching the Christmas Prince?
Oh really? They did?
Yeah, because there are people watching the watching the Christmas Prince over and over and over again. So they wrote some kind of tweet like, "You sad people." It's like,
really?
We're watching your content. Yeah, it's like last year they did that.
It's like, oh, that's a way to keep your audience, insult them.
Because now they have a Christmas movie with Kurt Russell, and apparently that's a big hit. So, and they're being very respectful of the people who are watching that.
Well,
I started watching that on the plane, and I got a little bored.
Really? How does Kurt Russell look?
He's like a sexy, more gruff Santa.
Because, full disclosure, Kurt Russell was my first boy crush when I was a little kid. It was Kurt Russell.
Wow.
So,
Kurt Russell was in the movie that I got my SAG card on.
What was that?
Executive Decision.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Steven Seagal was in that, right?
Yeah, Steven Seagal was kind of a minor part in it.
Yeah.
And the crew hated him. They hated him.
by the way, Jason, I had no idea that you were in a scene with Nurse Bobby Jones, RN, and Carly.
On General Hospital, yes.
No idea what you're talking about. But I did watch the scene. I watched your scene in General Hospital.
So
we can talk about that on another episode. We can do a whole episode about the minor roles I've had on TV.
I guess we could, yeah.
I was very impressed, and I was like,
More than that, yeah.
because Carly is basically the Sammy of General Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I was saying that in the interview that we did, I said, I think I had asked Les, I had asked you how you would react if you were ever on General Hospital. I think you said you'd have a heart attack and die
I did.
from excitement.
I did.
Well, I'm glad that you've been resurrected.
Well, because
Oh, he wasn't on it. You have been on this show.
Jason.
I'll roll. It's
Yes.
these two women who look like main characters. I don't know. They're sitting around and the doorbell rings. They're like, "He's here." It's like they were waiting for you.
I delivered a package.
Yes, you had lines
Literally,
and
not
everything.
figuratively.
Yeah.
So you know what? Let's do a Shoe Addict's Christmas. And Jason, would you like to start us out?
Sure. This is the movie starring Candace Cameron Bure. And it opens up with her seemingly getting ready for her day. Her tree's already up. She walks in her room, and she's looking at the different necklaces she could try on. She decides not to wear her cross, which I found very surprising given Candace Cameron's very open religious leanings. And then I'm reading the credits, and I'm like, wait, Jean Smart is in this movie? I had no idea. I'm totally on board at that point.
Yes.
She got on my nerves in this movie.
Jean?
Yeah, I'm probably alone in this, but every time she popped up, I was annoyed.
I could see that her character would be polarizing. I actually loved her because it was a very different kind of role than we've ever seen her in.
I've noticed, because Jean Smart has actually been in a lot lately. Like, a lot.
Yes?
Yeah.
What
She
have you
works
seen?
all the time.
What else was she in?
She's on Dirty John right now, that show Dirty John on Bravo.
John? What's that?
Oh my God, Kurt, you've never heard of Dirty John?
I've never heard of Dirty John.
Dirty John is this podcast that, like, did so well. Like, it was a dramatic podcast. So it was like, beginning, middle, and end. And and this is a true story. And it was a podcast that was so popular, they turned it into a movie. And it's really good. It's about, basically, without giving anything. Have you listened to it, Jason?
That's what happened. So they made this into a movie.
Yes. The podcast, it's a really good podcast because it's a story, and it's a true story. And so, which made it even, like, did you listen to it, Jason?
No.
It's so, because this guy is such a creep. The fact that this is a true story makes it even more interesting.
Okay. I will listen to this because I'd like to listen. I'm looking for things to listen to.
Yeah, Dirty John.
You know what you could listen to is there's a podcast called A Lifetime of Hallmark.
Oh. Yeah, will they make a movie of our podcast?
Hey, you never know.
I'm going to play myself. Called it.
So,
Okay.
so Jean Smart's on Dirty John.
I don't hear any arguments.
She's like,
Okay, so she's on that.
and she was on Fargo.
No, I haven't seen
Yeah.
Um,
She was on. Wasn't she on 24 for a couple of seasons?
I think so.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That's good.
The funny thing now, I don't know if you've noticed this, Jason, but in all of the movies or the things she's in, they make her look older than she really looks.
Well, this movie they definitely did. They had a wig on her and everything.
Because now she always plays the grandma.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, listen to Dirty, not to promote another podcast, but Dirty John it's really good. Really good.
Wow.
All right. Noted.
Dirty John, say some nice things about us.
Yes. Actually, Dirty John is over now.
Say nice things about you.
Listen to their sequel, Dirty John 2, Dirtier John.
Dirtier John.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say it's a lot like that podcast Serial. It's like that.
It's a lot like what?
Serial?
Oh, cereal.
Okay.
What? Rice Krispies? No, I know. I listened to that. By the way, we were also promoting The Wizard of Oz in our previous movie that we just did, and they are not saying anything nice about us. So get on that. They make another Return to Oz movie, whatever. Slip in a word for us. We're not doing this for free.
Oh. So one thing that I noticed is there was actually real snow on the ground,
That's good.
which means they had a budget.
Yeah. Well, I felt like this movie and the Lacey Chabert movie, Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe, I feel like they both had budgets. You can tell the minute you hear a song sung by someone you recognize that there's a little more money in the movie.
Right. So we meet Noelle. So Noelle's at the department. She's in the department store, and she's fixing a Christmas tree. And Mrs. Fulton, I guess she's like the owner of the store, right? Mm-hmm. Mrs. Fulton and her boss, who's Mrs. Fulton's son. She's talking to Noelle is talking to Mrs. Fulton's son, and then Mrs. Fulton walks up and asks her son, "Why is your HR manager decorating the Christmas tree?" And
Yeah. And I should point out, Kurt mentioned this to me earlier today, that the son is played by Kristian Brunn, who plays Donnie on Orphan Black. So any Orphan Black fans, you'll know who Donnie is. He's in the movie.
And if you watch Handmaid's Tale, he was the doctor. He's the doctor who offers to impregnate Elizabeth Moss. I know him because I did a Canadian Fringe Festival tour with him in the year 2007.
Really? Really?
Yeah, so I was going to ask him if he could come on.
I would love
Pretty
that.
busy guy, it seems, but I
Yes.
could see what's what.
Yeah, that
Well,
would be
Orphan
cool.
Black has ended its run. He's got some time now.
He's on a new show, though, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Canadian, by the way, so...
Right.
Yeah. Well, they shoot Handmaid's Tale in Canada. And, yeah. Orphan Black was Canadian. Yeah.
So in this movie, there's something a little different because Candace Cameron, Noelle, actually likes Christmas.
Yes.
Normally, our heroines are too busy for Christmas.
Hey, guys, who's Candace Cameron? Where would I know her from?
Full House.
Full House.
Oh, okay.
And then she was on The View for a season or two.
Yes. But yeah, Full House and now Fuller House.
Yeah.
Oh,
And her brother is Kirk Cameron from Growing Pains.
oh really? Okay.
Yeah. So, we find out Noelle loves Christmas, and she's decorating the Christmas tree for fun, just because she wants to do it.
Yes.
And then we find out that Noelle is coordinating a gala. And it's the fire station gala. It's to raise money for the fire station.
Yeah.
And, and then we find out that Noelle loves shoes. She loves shoes. And
So you there?
yeah. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
I guess I've just got to really like stay on top of my microphone.
Hello?
Hello?
Got out again. Hello?
Hello?
There you are.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, so I was saying
Yo.
Noelle loves shoes.
Yeah.
Like
I can't relate to that.
Like she loves shoes. Her boss says to her he wishes that he had someone look at him the way that she looks at shoes.
Yeah.
And she says, well, every shoe tells a story. And then we see Jake, he's a fireman. Jake, very cute. I thought he was cute anyway.
Yeah, you thought.
And so he's in the fire station, and we find out that he was offered an office job. And he was talking to his coworker, and he was saying being a fireman is fine, but it's time that I grew up and took a job in the office. Then we go back to the store, and
Oh wait, we do find out that his dad died.
yes,
Yeah.
so he
We
dad.
know at the moment because there's a music cue, like a really sad music cue, as he's talking about his dad, and he referred to the dad in past tense.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a picture of him on the wall, like a really obviously placed.
Dead dad picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really hammering it home.
So then we're at the store, and we see Noelle has a sassy black friend,
Okay.
Lorna.
It's weird how that came out.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something weird about that. You had some audio issues, and all you heard was "black friend."
Yeah,
Oh.
I think it was probably when it got like digitized and like cut off, and
Yeah.
it just jumped in right as you were really excited about a black person.
Oh, yeah, I said it right.
Keep that in. I like that.
So then, and she made a shoe.
And Jerry Maguire, where he's having to shout it.
Yeah.
Oh, so she made a Christmas tree out of shoes,
Yes.
and we find out Lorna from Lorna.
Yeah.
We find out that Noelle is a photographer. And Lorna's telling Noelle, Noelle, you need to submit your photography to the contest that we have here in the department store.
Yes.
And
she has to move on from Matthew. It's been 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
Yes.
What's his face?
I wrote, this is a vapid movie.
I actually thought it was going to be really vapid based on the title and based on all the talk about shoes early on.
This is where I wrote it. Yeah, it's this typical thing, like you broke up with, it's been 3 years, and I know,
And then even worse, she finds out that her ex is engaged.
Yeah. Because she's like stalking him on Instagram, basically.
Yes, which I kind of liked. That, they showed her like Instagram stalking him.
Yeah, you like stalking and eavesdropping and all sorts of mischief.
I do. I do.
Hallmark Sweetness, the meanest nickname that her character's best friend could come up with calling the ex is "What's his face?"
What's his face? What's his
Like that.
What's his face? Yeah.
Oh, so we see a picture of Noelle, and she's wearing a pair of red pumps. And
she's at her dad. She's visiting her dad.
And guess where her mom is?
Mom died.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be so blunt.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
She's dead.
Dead.
And so
Boy.
So Noelle's depressed.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, we find out that she and her mom bonded over her shoes. We also find out the cross somehow reminds her of her mom. The cross that she didn't want to wear at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Yeah, her dad is like just sitting in the house alone. He's strychnine. And strychnine is, all I know is it's very dangerous.
I think you
for all
drink
you
it.
kids out there.
Yeah. Dad.
Yeah.
Did the dad barely look at Noelle for the 3 seconds she came by? His father to try and get up out of his chair to say hello.
Right. He was very depressed.
Yeah.
Weird.
Maybe he was.
It's like he was almost like he was a shut-in.
Get up.
It was almost like he was a shut-in.
We'll film around this if you can't get up. It's all right.
Well, my guess is they were probably running short on Tungle, and they were like, we don't have time to shoot this from other angles, so you can't stand up.
Well, I believe they ran out of money.
Ouch.
Oh, the Christmas, what is it? Oh, I put the Christmas tree is the size of South Dakota.
It was that big?
Someone's got an echo
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
So,
Someone's got echoes going.
oh, am I echoing?
I know, I heard myself echoing.
Oh. No,
Yeah, I heard that too, but you're
because you sound fine here.
There it is.
You sound fine here.
Okay.
Okay, so then Noelle goes home, and she comes home, and he causes her to drop her groceries. Jake, the fireman. So
he's our new neighbor.
Right.
They fall down together. Yeah.
Yes. And so, they exchange pleasantries, blah, da, 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 da. And then the next scene, we see Noelle. She's back at work. She sees her boss, Alex, and Alex asks her, can you find an envelope from the 90s? Can you go into the files and find a file from the 90s? I'm looking for this employee.
Yeah, it's an employee file from when his dad ran the store, implying his dad is dead too. We have an abundance of dead parents in this movie.
Yeah, half the people in this movie are dead. That's rough, man. They're really hitting home on this one.
Yeah.
Hitting hard, I should say.
And so this part actually didn't turn out the way that I thought it was going to, because he gives the person's name, and I thought it was going to turn out one way, but it didn't.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're done with the movie.
Yeah, because
I don't know what you're referring.
So, Noelle's going through the old files.
The employee she has to look up is Charlene Pennymar.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So she's going through the files, and it's like snowing really bad outside, and so Noelle, she doesn't find the file, but she walks upstairs and she finds that the entire store is empty because they basically all had, because the snow was bad, they all had to evacuate, and they closed the store down early. So she is she's locked in the store. She calls Alex, her boss, and she's like, Alex, I'm locked in the store. And he explains to her that they shut down early, but he says, you know what? I'm going to come and I'm going to let you out.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
No, I thought she was going to be locked in the store for the whole movie.
So did I.
I did too. Yeah, so did I.
So did I. And it was like the title kind of... Because see, this is what I thought. When I heard the title, I thought she was going to be like this bitchy girl who shopped too much and maybe lost all of her money and had to learn the meaning of Christmas. And it was not that at all.
Okay.
So
we find out Noelle is locked in the department store.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then she's walking around. She's taking pictures. We have a picture-taking montage. And then I wrote, she should have been trying on outfits. But I digress.
Yeah, you don't like that.
She hears a noise. Noelle hears a noise. and she turns around, and it's Jean Smart.
Which I didn't recognize her at first, because in all the promos, when they show her in that big hat, I was like, who is this Diane Keaton wannabe?
It's Charlene Sugarbaker.
Yeah, it sure is.
Every time you guys say Gene Smart, I think you're about ready to say Gene Simmons. I know he's not in the movie, but I don't know why I'm expecting that.
That would be a very different Hallmark movie. If
Right.
Gene Simmons were
I'd
in it.
like it.
I would actually. That
I
would
would
be a good.
totally be into that.
Like if he was like an angel.
I have a name for it, which I think may have even been the name of one of their albums. Merry Christmas.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, this is it.
Yes. And like he could show up to show someone like the error of her ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that.
And there's like 80, instead of just like one woman, there's like 80. And like these 80 women are trying to find love with Gene Simmons.
With Gene Simmons.
Yeah, it's a complicated movie. Cast of thousands.
Oh,
you guys heard? I hate to get off the subject because I know we have like a lot to do, but you guys remember that interview with Terry Gross and Gene Simmons?
No.
You guys ever heard that? Oh, it's too bad.
Why would
I imagine
look
it's
that
amazing, though.
Oh, it's wonderful.
What did he say?
Well, they kind of get each other mad, but he's like, he goes, he says, well, you know, if I'm greeted with, if you want to greet me with open arms, then you have to greet me with open legs as well.
Ooh, to Terry Gross?
Yeah. And
Oh,
she's like,
that is Terry Gross.
And she's like, that's a really obnoxious thing to say. He goes, no, it's not. Why is it obnoxious? And she gets so mad
just
at him.
calling him out.
Yeah, look that up. That is a joy.
I am gonna look that up.
It's so much fun.
Oh, so we find out Jean's name is Charlie.
Yeah.
And we find out she's new on her job.
Yeah.
She is some sort of magical, whimsical character. We don't quite know if she's like a ghost or an angel.
She's kind of like she's basically a guardian angel.
Yeah, they never say the word angel in the movie, but like that's basically what she is.
Right. Because in the movie they end up talking about God a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she says everyone has one, and it's you know.
So we find out that she's new, and then she tells Noelle that she's here to help her overcome her troubles. And she basically says that Noelle stopped trying. And then she says, you know, something big is coming to her, and you better take this chance or you won't have another chance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, she knew facts about Noelle that, like, no one would know. Like, you know, just little things. Like, stuff like she used to do with her mom. And, like, it was stuff that, like, no one else would know.
Right. I thought, too, that since the next thing she puts on his shoes, I don't mean to skip ahead, gets the shoes, it goes into the past. I'm like, okay, is this going to be a Christmas Carol? Because I think I'm going to throw up.
I thought it was going to be that, too.
Is Gene Simmons, Gene Smart going to be like the first one, and then it's going to be, I don't know, Julia Duffy for the next one. Julia Duffy, and then Annie Potts.
The Delta Burke
one. I don't want to see that.
I do want to see that.
I would love to see that.
I'm encouraging anybody to make that. So if anybody's listening, don't get those people together.
Look, it's the ghost of
Meshach
Taylor.
Right?
I'm not going to watch. No.
Could you imagine, Jason? Could you imagine if it was like a Delta Burke Christmas Carol, and then they would all come to visit her?
Look,
I would love that.
I'm preempting it. I'm telling you, I'm going to refuse. I'm not supporting this.
Hallmark, if you're listening, please get on that.
I've never made a statement like this so strongly.
Hallmark, please write that movie. Please.
Yeah, I would totally watch that.
So,
that one woman, she's no longer with us because she was also on a Different Strokes and suffered from the Different Strokes.
Dixie Carter.
Dixie Carter,
yeah.
Yeah.
And Jan Hooks was in the last couple of seasons of Designing Movies. She's no longer there either.
Carlene.
Yeah, I loved her.
I like Jan Hooks.
I loved her from Saturday Night Live.
I like Dixie Carter, too. I don't mean to be disrespectful to the Dixie Carter estate.
It was a good cast. Wait, you know they're rebooting that?
Not really.
Yeah, I
With
read
who?
that there. I think it's going to be the same setting, and they might have ties to the old show. Like, they're just talking about it right now. So,
And the same writer's going to write it, though. Linda Bloodworth Thompson.
Yeah.
So,
Well, watch out for Julia Duffy, because if you ask her about the last episode of Newhart, she gets mad.
does she really?
Oh yeah, there was a little reunion of the Newhart people, and they asked again. This is like recently, and someone asked. They started asking about the famous ending where he wakes up with Suzanne Plachette, and she's like, "Look, I've had it." She's like, "We did all these episodes, all these years. All I ever get asked about is that last episode."
Because it was the best episode ever.
Well,
it was a great series ending, but I guess I could understand her being annoyed that like all she ever gets asked about is the one episode that has nothing to do with her character.
Sick of it. You remember another part of that last episode? I know we're going off again, but another part of that last episode is like Larry, Daryl, and Daryl. So Daryl and Daryl never talk. They never talk the whole thing. And in the last episode of Newhart, they get wives. The wives start like yapping away, start talking away. For the first time ever, they talk and they tell their wives to shut up.
I saw it. I was watching.
I remember that, yeah.
Does anyone have a problem with that? No? Okay.
Well, that was 2018, yeah.
Yes.
Is that aging well?
Funny in context.
One of those wives was Lisa Kudrow.
Really?
What?
Yes.
What?
You go back and look. Yes.
Pre-Phoebe Buffay.
Yes.
Oh my God. See, Kurt, you're like a font of information.
So she was in that, so that's one great piece of trivia about Lisa Kudrow, and then she was supposed to play Rosalind Frazier and got recast.
Oh.
Right. Which I guess that was the best firing that could have ever happened to her.
Yeah.
Because then she got friends.
Same thing happened to Ray Romano, was supposed to be on News Radio and got fired from it, and then went on to get his own show.
Right.
He was replaced by Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So sometimes people getting fired is not bad.
Hey, Ray Romano on Get Shorty. Very good. Very good.
Oh,
Good show.
okay.
Yeah, he's good on it.
Oh, so then, okay. So...
I love Les.
So far off track.
I enjoy Les so much. And you, Jason, I enjoy you as well. But I just enjoy when Les gets all excited. Like, well.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh, so she tells her, put these shoes on. Charlie tells Noelle, put these shoes on. Every pair of shoes tells a story. So I have here, Noelle puts on this cute pair of shoes. They were very cute. And she goes back to Christmas past 3 years ago. And we find out that she got dumped on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And
we find out that her ex Matt was a photographer and she was his assistant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we ever see Matt?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
We find out Matt was Matt was basically holding her back, and Lorna, her sassy black friend, she was there consoling her, and she was gonna call a gallery owner, and in the meantime, Noelle asks her if there was like an available job, and she would take it on as a temp job, and that's how she started working at the department store.
Yeah. Yeah, I had some problems with that because, what's wrong with her getting a job? It's like they had a problem. The movie has a problem with her giving up her photography to get a job. You could do both. You could have your survival job or whatnot, and then you could also do your photography.
Well, even in the moment of that scene, though, her friend kind of says, like, okay, that's fine, but this is a temporary job till you get on your feet, like, whatever. And I think they just had a problem with the fact that she became complacent and only did that job and didn't pursue her true love.
Right, and I actually related to that because I know people, I have friends who, they got a job initially, because we all have to get jobs. So,
Yeah.
But they got a job, and they were, actors or whatever, and they got a job, working, corporate or telemarketing, and then they stopped pursuing what they moved here to pursue, and, the job, they just,
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's very easy to do.
kept the job, and, I personally have done it myself. I've done it myself, so I could relate to this,
Right.
Getting a job and then like 3 years later realizing, holy shit, haven't auditioned or have no headshots or nothing, and I've just been focusing on this job for years. So I got that, actually.
Yeah, I get it.
Right.
It resonated with me.
Yes, I guess you could get wrapped up into a job, yes.
And I'll go one further. It's one thing to get wrapped up in, like, her job was like an HR job. It was a steady paycheck. She probably made decent money, especially for a single person. But I know people who I've had like crappy telemarketing jobs. And I've known people who've gotten caught up in the crappy telemarketing job, and 5 years later, they're still telemarketing. Now that's depressing.
Yeah.
They're telemarketing and not trying, it's one thing if it's a job and it's a survival job and you can actually like live off of the job,
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with a telemarketing job or any job. It's just if the point is that if it's not something you love, it's something that lights your fire,
right?
Then is the money worth it?
Right. I agree 100%. So, so then she, so she's watching this. Oh, and then we also find out that like when Noelle goes back in time, they can't see or hear her. So she can't.
They can't see or hear or Charlie.
Right. Her or Charlie.
They can see and hear Noelle.
And
they can't hear Charlie.
Right. And then the Noelle is like past. It's like Quantum Leap. So she's like Noelle of the past.
Yeah.
So then we see Noelle, and then it's like she then goes to this photography studio, and she's dressed differently. And we find out that she's not only married, she's famous.
Yeah, because in the moment where she almost turned down her friend getting her a meeting with the gallery owner, she gets a do-over and gets to say, "Yeah, let's set that up."
Right, and so yeah. So then, like the husband is coming into the house, and the husband's like, "Honey, I'm home," but then she gets knocked. But then she gets knocked back to the present.
Yeah.
And
so we don't see the husband.
No.
We don't see the husband.
We just hear him.
Which I think, so then the fire truck shows up, lets her out, then she tells a firewoman, which I liked as well, that there was a firewoman.
Right.
She tells the firewoman that there was another person in the store.
A weird lady in the shoe department is how she describes it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But of course, no one was there.
No.
And then the neighbor. Gene Smart. And then the neighbor is one of the firemen. Jake is one of the firemen.
Yeah.
Would you look at that?
And so I have here like Jake is hot, but dorky, but hot.
I wrote that he's a hunk.
Yeah. Great body.
Hey, I'm hearing myself again. I just heard myself say he's a hunk.
You sound fine on my end.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I hear no echo at all.
Okay.
So then then we have like a fireman snowball fight, and Noelle then runs. She runs into Jake, and they talk about the gala, and Jake volunteers to help Noelle out with the firemen's gala.
No, he was volunteered by his boss.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Volunteered by the captain.
Thank you. Okay, because I was looking at my notes here.
Noelle gets a phone call, and that's how Jake finds out that he's been volunteered for it.
Okay.
Or she calls the captain. That's what it is.
Okay, because I had my notes. Calls captain. I need to take better notes.
It's I'm just nodding my head. I'm glad our listeners can't see me. So then Noelle goes home, and Charlie
Jean Smart is on her couch.
Yeah, that's annoying.
And she says, you know, you got to spend as much time with Jake as possible to plan this gala.
Yeah, but she's very cagey. She
Right.
can't say certain things. She can't overtly tell her what to do. She just has to nudge her. I think she actually used that word.
Yeah, she says she's nudging her. She keeps talking about, like, you just need to take a leap of faith. Like, you need to trust that you're making the right choices.
Right, exactly.
It kind of insults her. She's like, you haven't done anything lately. You need to go out and have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
You do nothing.
Right.
Get
And
it together.
Get it together, sister.
That's my advice to people. Yeah.
So then we find out that there's a photo contest. You know, there's a photo contest, and then we see that they're setting up. Noelle and Jake are like, they're looking for decorations and things to set up the gala. And Jake is like, well, let's make this gala a little less grown up and a lot more fun. We could even make it snow. And Noelle's like, no. We can't do
You guys find it odd that, like, they're going through as they're like checking out things for the gala, and they had these like balloon arches and things already set up, but the gala's like 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I first I wrote she's at an event, and then I thought, oh no, she's planning an event. Well, what, like, I actually was confused.
Yeah,
But
because the balloons would deflate in like 2 days.
oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So they finish like looking for their decorations, and they go out to catch a cab home, but there are no cabs. But then Jean Smart shows up, and she's driving a horse and she's driving a carriage.
Yeah. At this point in the movie, I wrote, I am deflated. I was very frustrated when she showed up. I just thought it was, I don't know what the word is to use. It was just kind of dumb that she shows up in a carriage. How did he see her? Because I thought only Noelle could see her.
You're right.
Why could all of a sudden he could see her?
Yeah, because the few times she does pop up into real life situations, and then maybe it's only when they travel in time.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is very. It's a gray area here.
They're breaking.
It's a gray area where we're working in here.
Yeah.
Oh, so they take a horse and buggy home. We find out that Jake has a dead dad.
Yeah, I wrote confirmation. They both have dead parents.
Yeah, she says her mom died. It's just a wonderful carriage ride. Then they hit a pothole. I guess, was this horse and carriage, was it also a ghost?
I don't know.
Maybe I should read into this.
That's a good question.
But I don't know, because they hit a pothole, so it does like physically move.
And actually, I didn't. And so he's very nice, and like he asks her out, and I was kind of like, I don't get why she wouldn't go out with him. He was very nice, very cute, nice, a gentleman. Mm-hmm. But nope, she was not having it. And then Charlie, Jean Smart, kind of scolds her, and she's like, well, why didn't you go out with him? And then Noelle comes home, and in front of her door are a box, and you could tell it's a shoe box.
Yeah.
So she puts on the shoes again, and she goes back in time, 2 years ago. And then Jean Smart is dressed like Mrs. Santa. And then we see her, she's in the department store, and her dad comes to the department store, and
Claus.
He's picking up something for her aunt, and the dad's like, hey, can you help me find something for your aunt? And Candace is like, nope, I can't. Smart's like, well, you should have gone and helped him. And then she takes
needs
off
to make that relationship better.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then she takes off her shoes and she's back. So then we're at the fire station, and Jake he's talking about how he wants the party to be more lighthearted. And he's talking to his friends, and one of his friends is like, you know, Jake, you should invite the woman who you're planning the party with to the Christmas party.
Yeah. There's a station party the night before the big gala.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jake is like, no, I won't. I need a sign. He's like, I need a sign.
Needs a sign.
So then...
Maybe he should separate his professional life from his personal life and say, get out of my business, people. I don't know. I just try to give some of our listeners need some advice out there, so I'm trying to help them.
So then Lorna, the sassy black girl, is talking to Noelle, and she's like, you know, Noelle, you should enter into the photo contest. And so Noelle is talking to Alex and Mrs. Fulton, the boss, and she's telling them about, you know, the event and how plans are coming along. And she says something about, you know, Jake wanting to make the event a little more fun, and Mrs. Fulton is like, oh, no, we do not want a fun event.
No
Fun. It'd be fun.
It
can't be fun.
No fun. So,
God forbid.
So then we see Jake and Noelle, and they're picking out decorations, and Jake tells Noelle, you know what, you need to have more fun. And
no fun.
And then, right. And then they're chatting, and then Noelle asks Jake, when was the last time you took a risk? And Jake said, well, you know, if I take that promotion, that's gonna be a risk. And then they see the switch, and they pull this switch, and the decoration.
And it's like a giant electrical switch on a wall that looks like the main breaker for the whole building, and it's labeled authorized personnel only.
And so what do they do?
They pull the switch like crazy people. Probably somebody's going to be stuck. They're turning off the electricity for the whole building. Someone's going to be stuck in an elevator. They don't care.
I thought it's super irresponsible if the fireman of all people would do that.
Yeah,
agreed.
This is the big risk they're going to take. Well, here's a life changer.
You're going to jail.
Yeah, that's right. That'll be a risk. There you go.
So the decorations are playing music, and then it starts snowing, and
this storage room becomes like this really magical wonderland.
Oh yeah,
because of pulling the switch.
So
come on.
So then Noelle puts shoes back on, and she goes back in time again, and she sees her dad in the store, and she and her dad end up going for coffee. And they end up talking about her mom, and her dad actually have a good time.
Yeah, they connect for the first time since the mom died.
And, you know, it comes up, we should do this more often. We had fun, we should do this more often. And then we see Noelle, and she goes to the future again, and she's back at the photo session, but she comes back again.
Right.
She comes back to the present. And then,
at the photo session, there's some guy there that she's taking photos of. He's very good looking, and he meets the dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then
so we're led to believe, like, oh, is this the guy she's going to end up with?
Right. Exactly. And so then she comes back to the present, and Charlie, Jean Smart, is like, okay, you know what your problem is? You keep everyone at a distance. And, This
is where they have an argument. They're like, do not do two.
Yeah.
Is that where that happens?
It is.
Yeah.
And then Jean Smart is like, you know what? Have you even talked to anybody about your ex yet? About your ex getting married? And, you know, she tells her, you know what? If you would have opened up, you know, you'd be in a different place in life. And so, I have here, she invites her dad out for cocoa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's like shocked to get the call.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's standing up, though, so that's good.
So he can walk.
Well, we saw him walk in the store, too.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So then
Must have been earlier in the day of the shoot.
so then Jake asks Noelle if she's bringing someone to the gala, and Noelle's like, yeah, my dad. Which is nice, because her and dad are spending time together.
Well, they're both scoping out if they have significant others.
And then Jake just comes out and asks her if she's seeing anyone.
Yeah.
And then they go into the kitchen, and they have like a tasting. And
chef is Charlie.
And Charlie, Gene Smart, is the chef.
You guys like this, but I wrote, this is painful at this point, where Gene Smart shows up as the chef.
I loved it. I wrote down, I'm loving this nut job performance. Like, it was so ridiculous, but like she just looked like she was having fun, and I had fun watching her.
I don't know. Every time I saw her, I felt like I was Julia Duffy, and someone was asking me about the last episode of Newhart.
And I also like that when Gene Smart, as the chef, spoke, that she was doing a Julia Child.
That's right, she was.
Very poor. Yeah, but not very good. Not much commitment there. She kind of like did it for a little bit, and that's it. I think it was probably like an improv she came up with. You know, well, I'll try this, but it was like, no. Not enough commitment for as far as I'm concerned.
I just took it as Charlie isn't that great at impressions, but she gave it her all.
Well, I agree with that.
So then they're making Christmas cookies. They're making Christmas cookies, and they're chatting, and Jake says, I don't get shoes. I don't get what the big deal is. And then Noelle says, every pair of shoes has a story. And then Jake asks her to come to the Christmas party, to the fireman's Christmas party, and she says yes. And then they go to the fire department, and he invites Noelle, and Noelle helps him with the fire department Christmas tree. And they're talking more, and he asks her what is her dream job. And she says that she was a photographer, but, big dreams are elusive. And then Jake admits he's not sure if he wants this new job that he's up for. And then Jake just happens to have a camera. Happens to have one. And so then Noelle takes the camera and she starts snapping pictures. And then the next scene, she meets up with sassy Black Lorna, and she's like, you know what? I might enter the contest. And
she tells her friend about Charlie.
Right.
I don't think she said I might enter the contest. I think she had photos with her, and Lorna says, are you entering?
Oh, okay.
And I think that's a big difference there.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, that's true. So she tells Lorna about Charlie, and Lorna actually believes her.
Yeah.
She totally believes her, and she's like, is she your guardian angel? What do you think she is? And Noelle's like, I don't know.
Yeah, she said, you better demand answers.
Yeah, Lorna totally believes her, doesn't really question it at all.
No, she's like, get to the bottom of this.
That's a good friend.
Yeah. I don't know about that. A friend who plays into your delusions. Sure, I believe it.
So Lorna tells her, you need to demand answers. You need to find out really what's going on here. So then Charlie brings more shoes, and Alex sees Noelle and Mrs. Fulton, and Alex sees Noelle, and Mrs. Fulton is pissed because there's going to be a snow machine in the party, and
Yeah, she doesn't want fun and whimsy.
no
But
fun.
cleanup would also be kind of a pain in the ass on that.
Well, not like she'd be cleaning it anyway. She'd have someone else do it.
That's true. Never mind.
So
She could hire those orphans.
right, the orphans from the community center.
Yes, from the Mistletoe movie. Yeah. Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe.
Right, and orphans. So Mrs. Fulton is like, you know what? I'm getting rid of this Jake person. You know, we're taking him off the project. And so Noelle is like, you know what? I'll tell him. So Noelle brings cookies to the station, and she tells Jake she needs to talk to him. And then she's about to, like, break the news. And then Jake is like, you know, Noelle, thank you for everything. I'm having a great time. It's great working with you. And so she didn't have the heart to tell him.
Uh-huh.
So then she's talking to Charlie, and Charlie's telling her, you know, Noelle, you're a special case. You know, you strayed off of the path that you were supposed to be on, and it's all because of your decisions. And she's like, you know what? There was one scenario that if you would have made a decision, you'd own like a hot dog stand or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. A chain of hot dog stands.
Right, a chain.
My
Right.
favorite line in this
Donations.
was after she tells her that, and she's talking more about like being off the path. She's like, "Well, you're not hot dog stand off your path, but you're still off your path."
Yeah. That's kind of clever, I guess.
Yeah.
And so then it gets very religious-y all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. Now, had you guys heard this joke before?
I had not.
I have.
Okay. I have. I remember hearing it as a kid. I heard it in a sermon.
Yes, I have totally heard the joke. You know, but for me, it wasn't. For the listeners who are listening, you know, she tells the joke about like the person asks God to help them, and they're trapped in snow, and God, a sled comes, the guy didn't catch it.
Santa comes along with the sleigh.
Right. And the sleigh basically comes like 3 times. The person doesn't take him up on it because they say they're waiting for God to send something down. And then when they go to heaven, they ask, well, God, why didn't you help me? And God's like, I did. I sent 3 sleighs. So, so then it takes that religious turn. But then it comes back. And
Back to secular.
so then she
Back
puts
to
on
Satan.
right, exactly. That could be
Although I didn't think it was going to be overtly religious, because I don't think any talk of religion would have included Santa.
this is true too.
Yeah.
But and to be honest,
Why is that?
in that first scene,
Because Santa isn't in the Bible.
Well,
that's like,
he could function independently from the Bible, I guess.
yes, but the story included Santa and God working side by side. That's why I was like, this isn't going to be all about religion. They're using the story to tell a point, or to make a point.
They make stuff up there.
and
I remember, because I went to Catholic school, and I remember they said, I had like a nun who said that Santa worked for God.
really,
Yeah. So they just make stuff up.
I guess
He's working for God. I don't know.
God hired him. So she puts on
I'm
another
not saying
pair.
it's right. I'm just saying that's, you could make things up.
And to be honest,
Really? In religion?
Well, it's news. This is breaking news.
Santa works for
Hey, I
God.
don't want to insult our religious listeners out
Yes.
there who believe in Santa.
I'm going to be honest. In the beginning, when she was looking at her necklace, and she looked at the cross, I thought, okay, this is going to be a very religious movie. But
I thought so too, because I mean, Candace Cameron is pretty. The whole family is pretty open with it being very openly Christian, and Kirk Cameron has gotten himself in some hot water by saying some pretty offensive things to people that aren't Christian, and or people that are Christian but have different views on the way the world works than him.
But the movie kept everything very like moderate.
Yeah,
which I thought was fair.
They do. That's in their best interest.
Yeah. So she puts on the shoes again, and she goes to Christmas Eve a year ago, and Lorna gave her a camera lens for Christmas, and she, tells her, you know what, you need to take pictures and enter the most inspiring photo of the year to the contest. So then we see she goes back to the future again, and her dad is there at the photo shoot this time.
He was there the last time too.
Yeah.
He met the guy.
And so she he tries to set her... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so she and the guy start flirting a little bit, or it seems like they're flirting.
And,
and the dad suggests, he said, you two should go out.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
And then she looks at this picture. She looks at the picture or something. The guy turns out to be her husband, or
Well, so then it jumps to in her apartment in the future, and she's looking at a photo of her, and the guy's in the photo, and it looks like it's a wedding photo because she's in a wedding dress, he's in the tux, and then opens the door, and in he walks.
Yeah. And then she comes back to the present, and she's like actually bummed that it's not Jake in the picture.
Yeah.
And so then Jake, her neighbor, comes over to borrow a cup of sugar.
Not a euphemism.
What's he making? The other guy's name is Will, by the way. I wrote that down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
a cup of sugar.
And they even joke about it. So then they're talking, and Jake is looking at her pictures, and there was a picture of a lady, and Jake's like, wow, that's a cool picture. You should enter it into the contest.
She's a lady.
And he asks Noelle if she's still planning on coming to his fireman's Christmas party, and she's like, oh, yeah. So Noelle actually enters the photo contest. And she's actually starting to kind of straighten up her act a bit, But then she gets a phone call from her dad, and her aunt slipped and fell and hurt herself. And so Dad has to go to help the aunt, and Noelle was actually a little bummed because she was actually looking forward to spending time with her dad.
Yeah. She's going to miss the gala.
Yeah. So Jake stops by the store to visit her, and as she's talking to Jake, Alex and Mrs. Fulton walk up, and they meet Jake, and Mrs. Fulton opens up her big mouth and apologizes for firing him, and he didn't even know he was fired.
Yeah.
And
not involved in the gala anymore.
Right. And then Jake gets mad at her for not telling him, but I actually felt sorry for her because she didn't, she didn't want to hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
So she had a hard time.
Yeah.
And even though Jake got mad at her, Charlie tells her, you still need to go to that party. You still got to go. And things have a way of working themselves out. And you got to have faith. And then she tells her, Except that you won't land where you want to be, but you'll land where you land is better than you were.
Yes.
All right.
And then she tells her not to settle, and and I was actually digging it. I was digging the pep talk.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
good.
a good piece of advice. Like, you take a leap of faith. You may not, you can't plan every step of the process, so you're not going to land exactly where you want to land, but you're still jumping ahead.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was totally digging the pep talk. So then, then Noelle says something, and she hurts Charlie's feelings.
Oh.
Yeah.
She says something.
What did she say?
What did she say, Jason?
I don't remember what she said. I just remember they had a bit of a fight. It was, like Charlie's trying to give her this pep talk, and Noelle isn't having it, and so Charlie just disappears, and Noelle feels bad about it.
And that's what I like about Noelle. Like, at least she's depressed and whatever, but she's not mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did she say something like she was content? She was content before Jean Smart showed up. Was that part of the argument?
That was part of the argument.
I
Yeah.
thought?
She
Okay.
argues that, or no, Jean Smart says that to her. She's like, being content isn't good. Just being content isn't good.
Right.
Just being fine isn't good. Something like that.
She's settling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the Christmas, so we see the fireman's Christmas party, and Jake is sad.
It was on a swing.
And then we see Noelle down in the basement looking through the files again. And she finds the file she's looking for. Charlene Penmar.
Yeah.
And she sees the picture, and I was surprised because I thought the picture was going to be of Jean Smart.
So did I. I thought Charlene and Charlie were the same person.
Right, exactly.
And I'm wondering if in an earlier version in the script that was the case.
Yeah.
So would that mean that Jean Smart was a ghost of this woman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have meant that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what I thought.
All right.
I thought Jean Smart was totally going to turn out to be like the ghost of this woman.
But we find out it's the woman in the Noelle's photo, which I also thought was going to be the same. I thought that was going to be the same woman, because we never really see the photo that's hanging on her wall that Jake was interested in until the end of the movie. So I thought, that could all be the same person.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, yeah. That would have been cool.
So
Well, it didn't happen.
No, it did not.
it did not.
She's a ghost. No?
Oh, so then, so Noelle bumps into Mrs. Fulton and Alex, and Alex is like, "Do you want to join us at the gala? We even have a dress for you."
And it's a dress that she was eyeing earlier in the movie when she was locked in the store, but didn't think she could afford.
Right. Which I thought was very nice that they gave her a dress, like a fabulous dress.
Yeah.
So they're at the gala. Jake is still bummed. We find out he got the job, but he really didn't want it, the desk job. And then, let's see.
She shows up to the party, and her dad shows up too.
Right. Oh yeah. She shows up in the dress. Her dad shows up, and she's wearing the cross.
Yes.
And we find out the cross belonged to her mother. And then we find out that the aunt who fell down is actually coming to spend Christmas with them.
Yeah. Which I thought was really funny. They're like, the break wasn't that bad. She's going to travel out here. I'm like, you're making the poor woman with a broken hip travel to come visit you for Christmas?
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Auntie, you gotta come.
Sorry. You gotta come here. We're not going there.
So then, the Fultons are really happy with the gala, and Mrs. Fulton was like, maybe your firefighter was right. And I was like, idiot. That could have, because that could have, like, alleviated a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she's like, maybe your firefighter's right. And then,
Oh, yeah.
And then Noelle gives notice.
So, yeah, because this woman was like all stuffy, no fun. And all of a sudden, suddenly, there's a quick turnaround.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now she's into having fun.
So Noelle gives notice, and then she's like, she tells me, I'm going to start my own photography business. And then Mrs. Fulton says, well, we'll be your first client. So not only does she start her own business, she gets like this huge job, this huge gig right away.
Yeah.
And taking pictures for their spring campaign. So like the job starts immediately. And then we see Charlie looking at the pictures, and there's 2 pictures in the contest. Charlie's like, I like both of your pictures in the contest. And Noelle's like, what are you talking about? I only submitted 1 picture. And Charlie's like, but there's 2. And so then Charlie gives her a box, and she says goodbye to her. And she says, you know what, you'll see me again if you need me. So that basically set it up for a sequel.
Oh.
I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, they totally did.
I hope not. And then she finds out who her husband actually is. Have we revealed that?
Yeah, not yet. So the box is obviously another pair of shoes, and Charlie says, don't open it now, open it when you'll need it. You'll know.
Right. And so Noelle finds Jake. She apologizes. Jake says he got the job, but he turned it down. And when the current captain retires, he's going to replace the captain.
Yeah.
And so then they go out to dance or something, and Noelle's shoes. Noelle she's still thinking that she's going to marry this other guy, but she doesn't care. She's going to just go for Jake anyway. And her shoe breaks, and so she happens to have a pair of shoes. Charity gave her a box of shoes. Charlie gave her a box of shoes. Mm-hmm. And so she... So who said this? If a right guy... So she puts on the shoes, and who asks her if the right guy did come and ask you out, would you say?
That was that guy Will in the photography studio.
Okay, so yeah.
Yes, that's right.
And then Will says, there's someone who I'd like you to meet. And the guy turns out to be Jake's brother.
Yeah.
And he set them up, and then she looks at the picture, and she and Jake are married, and then then the brother opens the door and is the honey I'm home guy, but you realize that's an inside joke because he's the one that set her and Jake up. So he says it every time he enters. Right. And then the shoes bring her back to the present, and she asks Jake, what's your brother's name? And yeah, he says, Will. And then it starts snowing in the party, and they kiss. The end. Now, this movie I really liked, and I thought the twists were pretty smart. But Kurt,
I was annoyed by the supernatural elements.
Really?
It irritated me. Yeah, I don't know. Whenever Jean Smart showed up, and I've never had anything against her before. But it was just always annoying when she showed up and she was doing something. Sometimes she would just very briefly show up, and I just found it annoying. I mean, I guess, as you guys were saying, because it is a deviation from the formula, I guess I could give some credit for that. But deviate a little better and less annoying.
See, I liked the supernatural element of it because it wasn't like crazy supernatural. It was just whimsical. It's this fun fantasy element that we don't really see in Hallmark movies, and they were still somehow able to do the Hallmark blueprint on top of all this new fantasy stuff.
And to be honest with you guys, if it was if it turned out to be another Christmas Carol thing, I would have hated it.
Oh no, I was
But the fact that they didn't use the Christmas Carol thing, I gave it bonus points just for not doing that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll give it a point for being something original, because I was also very afraid that it was going to be a Christmas Carol, and I did not want to see that.
Yeah, me too.
And then I give it an extra point because it talked about religion, but it didn't. It was very I like the fact that they talked about it. It was very moderate. I like that too.
Yeah, I feel like
Right.
they tiptoed around it as opposed to like swam in it for the whole movie, because I would have hated that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I liked that it did. They talked about religion without being preachy about it. So I
exactly.
like that. So yeah, this actually, to be honest, this is to date one of my favorite Hallmark movies.
I agree.
Wow. Okay.
So, but Kurt, so it annoyed you, but it wasn't like Elevator Girl bad, was it?
No. I didn't like that one. No, it just got on my nerves. Other than that,
Yeah, Jason.
I guess it was it had that layer of irritation.
Right. Jason, I even hated Elevator Girl. I hated it more than Kurt.
Wow.
I hated it a lot more than Kurt. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can reach us on our social media, which is on Facebook, A Lifetime of Hallmark, and on Instagram, A Lifetime of Hallmark.